Moving along to our effects section, the knobs for the insert effects control dry wet, and the knobs for the send effects obviously control send. But by using the shift feature, you can change the intensity of the effect, and what that actually is varies on the actual effect. And with the delay and reverb, holding down shift affects the delay time and the decay time. We'll switch over to a different sound. I'm going to have a look at the effects. So by turning up effects A, we'll get more of the effect. This is a chorus effect that's on it. I'll actually turn down off all the effects so we can more clearly hear what's going on. If I wanted to edit this sound, I can just hold down a long press on the power button. And I can see it's brought up my chorus here. So I could also change to a different effect, but if I wanted to edit some of these sounds, I just go in there and you've got presets that you can choose, and then you've got also the various settings that you have related to the effect in question. These can also be edited in AstroLab and with the AstroLab Connect app. If I'm happy with everything there, I can go back to my home screen, look at the preset again. Just turn off the effect if I didn't want it, if I wanted to A/B it. Happy with that. Maybe I want to adjust the intensity of the effect. So if I wanted a part to be playing when I'm adjusting this, I'll just turn on the ARP actually and just program in something. Just turned on hold there. I'm just going to hold down ARP and I'll speed this up a bit. Turn this down a bit. So let's look at effects B. And I'll affect the intensity of these as well by holding down the shift. We'll switch over to a different sound and we'll have a look at the delay and the reverb. So I'll turn up the send. I'll switch to a different sound that has more polyphony. So by going into the editing page of the delay, I can choose between analog delay, digital delay, and a tape delay. And these all have different settings based on the type of delay that they're offering. You've got ping pong features, you've the ability to filter the sound, adjust the stereo width. We go into the analog delay. Again, you've got your presets, but you've got slightly different settings. And then if I go into my tape delay, we can see we've got, again, different settings again. So they can be synced to the tempo of the actual preset, or you can have them running in free time. And when they're synced, you've got various, the usual timing options to actually vary the sync of the effect to the preset. So we'll come back over to the center section here and we'll look at some of these kind of creative tools that we have here. You've heard some of them in action already. You've got your ARP. Switch over to a bass sound. Turn it on. Going to use Shift and press ARP to put the ARP into hold mode so that it will continuously playing, and we'll go in and just a long press on the ARP button and we'll go in and have a look at some of the options. So we've already turned on the arpeggio, we've already put on hold. I think you've got about 7 different types to choose from. A lot of the kind of typical ones, up, down, got a pendulum, including the notes at the beginning and the end, and a random as well. You can change, I think there's a 5 range octave on the. You've got many options for rates here. It goes, I think the lowest is 1/96. And we've got a lot of options that I haven't seen on, or in terms of rates on other arpeggiators and other synthesizers, and even in software virtual instruments. So as well as all those rates, put it back into 16ths. You've also got various syncs options, so you can put it into straight, put it into triplets, dotted, and also on quarter notes related to the BPM. And you can also route the ARP to, if you're using a multi-part preset, you can route it to both of them, or only part one or only part two. So you could have got your sound split across the keyboard, you can have the arpeggiator on one part, and then be playing lead lines or chords on the other part. Moving along to the chord and scale feature, pressing the chord. By default, it's a C major, but I'll hold this down. If we can go into our settings, you've got 12 different chord types to choose from: major, major 7th, major 9th, 11th. Custom is when you have an idea of a particular chord that you want to choose, you just hold down the chord button and you type the notes that you want in your chord. Then when you release it, it will play that chord. So moving along, you've got octave. So play octaves, fifths, suspended, minor, minor 7th, minor 9th, back to major. And again, similar to the ARP, you can set the chord up to affect both parts, or part one or part two. Scrolling back up on this page, I'll just put that back to all again. You've got your scale functionality at the top. So, and scale is not on at the minute. I could set it up here, or it's a shift and a press on the actual chord button. So you can set the root key, and you've got 16 different scales to choose from, all the typical ones, and then a few more kind of unusual ones: Japanese, Gypsy, Arabic, Freygish, whatever that is. And then you've got pentatonic, major, minor, and blues. Below here is a very cool feature. You've got a MIDI looper. You've got play, which will play back the MIDI loop, and you've got record. And you can store up to 127 sequences within AstroLab. Cool thing about this also is that once you performed in a sequence, you could be using your macro knobs as well, is that you can use that sequence on other presets. So you might have come up with a melody and you're like, okay, the sound's not right. You can switch over the preset, try out that melodic part with other presets. So it's, again, long shift just to go in and look at the actual settings. You can turn on a count in. I'll turn that on. You can have it sync to the tempo. If you have it synced to other devices, you can receive transport to start the sequencer from the playback of an external, say, sequencer. You can have it loop. You can set the loop length. I'm going to leave these settings the way they are. And you can also have a metronome to help you keep in time. So I'm going to turn that on. 4-bar loop, yeah, that's fine. Now, I'm not a great keyboard player, but we'll just see this in action. So I'm going to turn the metronome volume down a bit. So when I hit the record button, I'll get a 1-bar count in, and then it will start recording. And then you can press play to stop. So I missed the note on the beginning there, but maybe I chopped it off at the end, but you get the idea. I could then switch over to a different sound. I'm just going to turn off the metronome, shift to metronome. Or switch it over to a lead. So if I wanted to, I could go back into my looper page here, and I could go in and save that recording if I wanted to. Or here's some other recording that I actually made. So if I record that. Now, the reason that sounds weird is because that's assigned to, it's actually a drum part that was actually playing. So what I'll do is I'll go and get the sound, and this was actually programmed in. I have a KeyStep Pro. I plugged that into the USB-A port on the back of the AstroLab, and I programmed a sequence on it and recorded it actually into the looper. So we'll go to types, and so we'll go in and get some drums, and I'll just long press on this to see what options. Yeah, so it gives me, so it was a drum kit that I was using. So yeah, try a 909, see what it sounds like. Try a different kit. So the reason that I recorded this in is I wanted to use this as just an element to have within AstroLab, so that when I wanted to come up with, say, like a bass part, I'm going to add a bass part to this patch. So types, bass. And I'm going to long press on this to give me my, let's get a sub bass. And yeah, go in. So problem is there that the two of them are layered across the keyboard. So what I need to do is split them up. So I just hit, I'm happy with that. And then I just hit split for a second. So now I got my bass part on the lower 2 octaves, and so I can start jamming, sort of getting some ideas together, maybe trying out different presets. So that's the AstroLab from Arturia. The release of this also coincides with their 25 years anniversary in the business, so congrats to them for that. I think AstroLab offers something really interesting rather than just being a preset machine. Has some interesting creative tools in terms of the ARP, the scale, the chord, and the MIDI Looper to help you come up with ideas and jam. The effects section sounds amazing, and anyone familiar with Arturia's instruments knows the quality of these instruments, and I find them quite inspiring. So as this instrument has just been released, I'm really interested to see what people start doing with it, and hopefully you found the information in this video useful in terms of helping you to decide if this is the right instrument for you.